Hey, I'm Vera, and today I would like to talk about how we can allow ourselves to be seen more. And concretely, I wanted to cover two things. First of all, the ways in which people don't allow themselves to be seen. And then secondly, I wanted to give some tips that I found helpful for doing that more. So number one, what are ways in which people don't really allow themselves to be seen? Now, I think it can be something like this thought that you might want to, like start a blog or start a podcast or, just voice your opinion about something and then not really doing that. In my case, to some extent, it was about, like writing blogs and sharing my opinion. But in part, it was also really just about starting videos and being seen. So some people really don't like seeing videos of themselves. It's also very typical that we don't like to hear our own voice because it sounds very different in our own head than it sounds when it's recorded. So these are a couple of ways in which we hold ourselves back. So we may have something that we really want to share, and then we don't look at, how can we share it? Do we want to write it? Do we want to speak it? Do we want to record it? What's the way we can get that across? And maybe right now you can identify a place in your life where there's something that you would like to get across, or a certain medium that has been calling you for a long time. Maybe you've been wanting to write, or maybe you've been wanting to do videos, but you haven't done that. So if you have identified an area in your life where you would like to step forward more, then let's move on to number two, where I share a couple of tips with you. Now, the first thing to keep in mind, and this is really maybe the most important thing, is it gets better. I can promise you it gets better. I was so nervous when I, published my first article, and now it's more like, oh yeah, it's another Tuesday, right? And if I look back at the first videos I did and how nervous I was and how I came across to how it's now where, it's 11:30 p.m. and I'm recording this, it really gets easier. It gets less challenging over time. So I think the important thing really is to just get started, do it even while you're scared, and then keep going. Yeah, so really just want to reiterate, it gets better, it really gets better, just get started. Number two, I think often when we feel concerned about how we come across, we make it about ourselves and not about the people that we want to touch with what we do, or about the cause that we care about. It's sort of how do I look, how do I come across, am I, will they think I'm incompetent or something like that, as opposed to, hey, I have something helpful to share and I want to share it. Because I think if we focus more on the people that we can help with what we do, it's so much easier to share, kind of like this moving from focusing on I to focusing on the other person. And then the last thing is, it's really about feeling like ourselves. So I used to hate taking pictures. I really used to hate it. And I just did a photo shoot today. And it was so much fun. And the reason it was fun is because I just had a good time and I was being myself. And I also noticed that with other forms of communication, like when I write articles that feel really good, it's often just because they're authentically me and I'm not trying to be something I'm not. So I think if in doubt, just always come back to your own self and to what really feels like you. So these are the things that I covered, like the ways in which you may be holding yourself up from showing up more fully and allowing your gifts to be seen. And then if you've identified an area in your life where you're not doing something that you really like to be doing, I also gave you a couple of tips that you can use. Number one, it does get better. Just get started. It gets better. It gets so much better. Number two, make it about the people that you can help. Share your gifts. Don't make it about yourself or how you come across. If it's an act of love, then, it's okay to look a bit foolish if you're doing it for something good, for another person. And number three, just be authentically you, because when we really are ourselves, I think that's when we feel best and most aligned. If you liked this video, I really encourage you to watch my next video where I talk a bit about how I help people to get started on getting their gifts more to the world. And I'll see you in the next video.